Hello, Florida. Have you heard of Sleeper Daily Fantasy? Sleeper hosts daily fantasy prop games that you can compete for a chance to win big cash prizes. The game is simple. For each contest, you are given a pool of props for upcoming games across different sports. You pick whether each prop will be over or under the given total. You can choose up to 8 different props for a chance at a bigger win. If you want to join in on the action over at Sleeper Daily Fantasy, I've got you covered. Sign up with my promo code BONUS100, that is BONUS100 today, and receive a deposit match up to $100. Using code BONUS100 when signing up not only gives you this great reward, but also helps support the podcast. So make sure to use promo code BONUS100 when you sign up at Sleeper Daily Fantasy. This offer is only available to new customers who are 18 plus or 19 plus if you happen to be in Nebraska, 21 plus if you're in Massachusetts, and you must be physically present in valid states. So don't wait, Florida. Head over to Sleeper Daily Fantasy, and please remember to always game responsibly. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer to see if you qualify. Once again, it is bonus code BONUS100.
The mistletoe margarita, the Scrooge driver, the North Pole punch. Which drink is best for the holidays? The answer? All of them. And luckily, you can get everything you'll need delivered with Drizzly, the go-to app for drink delivery. Whether it's classics like Bullet Bourbon, Don Julio Reposado, or Kettle One, or something new. Fruitcake flavored tequila, anyone? Okay, maybe not that, but you can get the drinks you do want to match any holiday festivity on Drizzly. Sending a gift to your family, friend, or coworker? Hosting some friends for an ugly sweater party? Restocking your bar? You name it, and Drizzly has you covered. Shop curated gift guides, get recommendations from experts, and more on Drizzly. So,
what's it gonna be?
Download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com to choose your drinks today. Must be 21 plus, not available in all locations.
It's Ethan Skolnick for 5 on the Floor. You might be following me for Miami Heat coverage, but at the 5 Reasons Sports Network, we also do the best job of covering the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, not only do we have a podcast in 3 yards per carry, but we created a Discord. If you want to become a member, you want to speak with thousands of like-minded Dolphin fans, look at video analysis, stage shows, as well as interact with us, Chris, Simon, Alf. You could go to discord.gg/OnlyFans, and for less than a cup of coffee, that's $3 a month, you could get on there.
Yeah, we kind of did a copycat thing, Alfredo. The Heat followed the Dolphins in this market, so we have now followed you. We call ours Off the Floor. It used to be a texting service. It's much better than that now. Not only do we provide host updates there, but you can chat 24/7. Trust me, there's someone doing that right now, and we've got other rooms if you want to chat about other sports, fantasy gambling, or even music. We have a music culture page there as well. Greg Sylvander maybe put that one on. Off the Floor, OnlyFins. That's the extension of what already is the best sports coverage in South Florida.
So how much is yours?
$2.99 per month, and you can find it pinned at the top of the 5 Reasons Sports Twitter page.
Get both on Discord.
Welcome to 3 Yards Per Carry, a podcast covering the Miami Dolphins and the NFL. Now, here's your hosts, Chris, Alf, and Simon.
Welcome to 3 Yards Per Carry. It is our Thursday, although it's Friday, preview show looking ahead to Monday Night Football against the Tennessee Titans, who visit Miami. The Titans who have lost 4 of the last 5 games, lost in overtime at the weekend to the Colts. I'm Simon Clancy. Alfredo Arteaga is here. Chris Caulfield will join us in the second half of the show to look at the Titans offense. You should know that this show is brought to you, of course, by Prize Picks. Use the promo code 3, that's the number 3 yards, to get a $100 match bonus on your $100 deposit. And by our old friends at Manscaped, get 20% off and free shipping with the code 5RSN. That's the number 5 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the code 5RSN. And Alf has news of another sponsor.
Yeah, of course. Factor Meals, they're with us through the holiday season. So we have a dedicated page with Factor Meals. So you can go to factormeals.com/3 yards per carry 50. And remember that we are the number 3 yards per carry 50. And use the promo code 3 yards per carry 50, and you get 50% off your first order.
So, as I said, the Titans lost 4 of their last 5. They fell to the Colts 31-28 in overtime last weekend. There are questions about their best player on offense, Derrick Henry, who entered concussion protocol and has been limited in all that he's done this week. There is news about the defensive side of the ball, and their all-pro defensive tackle, their best defensive player, and probably arguably their best player overall, Jeffrey Simmons, is out, which is a huge boon for the Dolphins. Alf, when the Dolphins have the ball, there's a kind of a dearth of talent really on the Titans defense in terms of what they're trying to do. They fired their special teams coordinator this week. There's all sorts of kind of issues going on. They've obviously got players like everybody else has got players on injured reserve, but really with Jeffrey Simmons out, Danico Autry, who had his 9th sack of the season, is playing very well, the defensive end. But beyond that, really, they're struggling, aren't they, in all 3 phases? I mean, I was looking at the numbers. I think they're the 17th ranked defense overall, so sort of middle of the pack, but they're the 23rd best team for touchdowns allowed. Passing defense, they're 22nd, which bodes well for the Dolphins, but 13th against the run. Interestingly, though, when you look at a couple of the factors, red zone defense, the second best red zone defense in the NFL, Miami, one of the better red zone teams in the league on offense, but on third downs, and we saw how good Miami were on third downs against Washington last week. Tennessee 16th on third down. So, they're not a terrible team, but this is a team that Miami should handle. And certainly when the Dolphins have the ball at home, you'd like to think that they're controlling the narrative in terms of what happened, especially with Jeffrey Simmons out.
Absolutely. I do my my weekly test where I look at their roster and I say, okay, who of these guys would I want on my roster? The Dolphins. And obviously you got to start with Jeffrey Simmons. He's one of the better defensive tackles in football. I really liked, and I love them coming out of LSU, Christian Fulton. He's also out for this game. So when you start off your analysis of their defensive roster with the top 2 guys you would want off of that roster are not in this game, then yeah, you're back to where we were last week. And I said before last week, that I hate to be style points guy, but I was going to be style points guy. And sure enough, the style points, absolutely, they were there. How about regaining the lead as far as rushing offense in the NFL? They're 9 yards behind the Ravens. Put up a good rushing effort on Monday Night Football, have a really nice balanced effort on offense, be explosive, score 4 touchdowns, and no turnovers. Do that again. Start building those habits for the playoffs and for that stretch run in late December. And I think all of us will be happy. There really isn't too much of a danger on this defense. And I know it's hard to just get out here and just say, look, but I can't even make it up at this moment. It's just like last week. Dolphins have a decided schematic advantage in this game, and they should take advantage of it. They should be judged a little bit more harshly than we would normally.
Yeah, you look at the secondary, and you talked about Christian Fulton, who sort of flattered to deceive a little bit in the NFL. They've got Sean Murphy-Bunting, who I think we all liked in Tampa, but was, has been injured, won a Super Bowl, but, the injuries have kind of got on top of him. Roger McCreary, obviously a sort of battle-hardened SEC corner who played very well at Auburn, and again has kind of struggled a little bit, and the surroundings, I think, haven't helped him. But when the Dolphins had the ball, what I found quite interesting about Hard Knocks the other night was the clear ability. There was just a section where they were clearly trying to get Devon Achane lined up as a receiver and get a favorable matchup, either against a safety, but ideally against a linebacker. And actually, they had that on the first touchdown to Tyreek Hill, and on the top of the screen, to the backside of the formation, Achane had sort of 6 or 7 yards of separation. The safety sort of stranded in the middle of the field. So Tua actually had a touchdown either side. It does strike me that the Dolphins are trying to get a big receiving play down the field to Devon Achane. You saw it a little bit in Hard Knocks in practice. You saw Tua going back to Mike McDaniel and saying, he ran that route better and he did this better. And then Achane saying he was surprised at a certain ball. And you just sort of interesting little inkling that, I wouldn't be surprised if something comes down the pipe with Achane getting a deep ball pass, especially against a linebacking crew that's struggling with guys out in the backfield.
Yeah, and some of our members on OnlyFans, and by the way, you can become a member at OnlyFans by going to discord.gg/OnlyFans. It's only $3 a month. Some of the members on OnlyFans were beginning to wonder, was Alf lying when he was saying that they kept working on all of this wide receiver stuff with Devon Achane, and they were working him into the passing game in training camp. Well, you saw a lot of it against the Commanders. There was another play where that scramble drill where Tua hit Waddle basically right in the face mask, and Waddle dropped it. And we'll get to him in a little bit since we're talking Dolphin offense. On that play, there was a delay. There was like a delayed crosser for Achane, and if Tua had just an extra count in the pocket, and he comes field side completely, which was obviously the last guy on the progression, he has Achane with a cushion of about 10 yards and a lot of green grass for him to make people miss. So, yeah, there's not only the screens, but that stuff downfield, slants. They have a full package for him. And we saw a lot of it against the Commanders. And you got to think that this is the way forward whenever he's on the field. I expect him to play a lot with Raheem Mostert. So the threat will always be there, whether it's on an end around or if they flex him out. Defenses are going to have to account for him, and that's another guy that they have to account for, which is it's always a good thing, especially when you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on your offense. So, things are looking up on the Dolphin offense when they weren't about 3 weeks ago, and it's been health that's actually turned things around.
Yeah, watching some of the All-22, Alf, in terms of the Colts-Tennessee game, it seemed like the Colts were kind of peppering snag concepts throughout the game to Michael Pittman, little triangle read zone beaters that essentially just continued to stress the Titans' defense. It looked like the Titans had no answer for the communication on the back end. They were kind of all over the place, and essentially it was just flaring out back into the flat. Pittman would kind of run a 10-yard comeback, and then a guy would run an over behind him. The Titans defense would be completely confused, and Pittman was open and open and open and open time and time again. And really, then there were times where Minshew would throw outside looks or at least stack up outside and then throw inside. And again, that's something we do, day in, day out with the Dolphins. And again, the Titans have no answer. It feels like a lot of what Miami does well is stuff that Tennessee doesn't do very well. Notably, though, communication on that back end, because if you're going to play the Dolphins, you're going to play them well in the passing game, you have to be able to communicate.
Absolutely. Especially when the Dolphins will run that concept like about 4 or 5 or maybe even some 6 or 7 times in a game. They ran it against the Patriots in New England. I think Chris Collinsworth made a note of it that they ran it like 8 times and like 6 of them were successful. And it's always flat rail, in cut, or glance route, or how the Dolphins call it. And yeah, it puts an entire side of a secondary into conflict because you're not going to let the rail go, right? Because usually the guy running that is really, really fast. So what are you going to do? You're going to leave the flat naked. And if you leave the flat naked, Tua can see that. He's a shorter quarterback. That's the one guy he will see. And if he checks it down, you're just going to give up 8 yards a pop? So it's a difficult play to cover. I think the team that did the best on it was Kansas City. And the way they did it was using Drew Tranquil to get out to the flat and just essentially just blow up the flat player. Because once you blow up the flat player, Tua understands I got to get to this first or second read because I don't have the outlet. So there is no comfort there. And it just speeds up his clock. But yeah, I completely agree with you. This is a team that should be had. And at home with a big crowd, it's going to be boisterous. It's going to be the first night game for the Dolphins at home this season. Yeah, it should be. I'm not going to say that it's going to be a walk in the park, but it should be easier than most.
Yeah. One guy to look out for on that defense who has remained one of the more underrated players in the league and is a guy that Mike McDaniel will know very well is Azeez Al-Shaair, who was the linebacker at San Francisco, who made that really nice triumvirate with Dre Greenlaw and with Fred Warner in San Francisco. Shaair has played very well this season, albeit protected because of his size a little bit by having Jeffrey Simmons and Autry and those guys in front of him. But again, big stress test for a guy who I think he gave up 9. I think I was looking at the numbers earlier on, gave up 9 receptions or 8 catches on 9 targets against the Colts. As well as he's played, he's going to need to do significantly better in that game, in this game, than he did against the Colts. And otherwise, the Dolphins with backs out the backfield, whether that's Alec Ingold, Mostert, Wilson, Achan, et cetera, have all got really good hands, all run really good routes. That's a guy that the Dolphins are going to need to identify, but also to make sure that he doesn't have a big impact, knowing the ability that he does have.
Yeah, absolutely. And now with Achan, you saw it against the Commanders. They threw him a little arrow route. He caught it for about 6 yards, broke a tackle, and it turned into 21. So 21 can easily turn into 65 also. So yeah, that's something that they're going to have to be very mindful of. So there's going to be opportunities behind those guys. And I understand that Jalen Waddle was pretty good 2 weeks prior against the Jets on Black Friday, but this is one of his worst games against the Commanders. He had 2, in my opinion, bad drops. One that could have been for a pretty big play. Ball fell right at his feet. What a better time than now to get Jalen Waddle back online, because in my opinion, he's the only guy on the offense that you could look at even sideways and say, he's not up to his standard from last year. So he's going to have opportunities, and I think that they'll feed him.
Needs to catch the ball better, though, doesn't he?
Yes. He needs that's not going to get fixed this year, but in the off season, he needs extensive training as far as catching the ball. And I know people are listening to me like, wait a minute, a wide receiver's going to, yes, wide receivers do train on catching the football. There's an art to it. It's different. Catching a football from a professional quarterback is very, very different than catching it in practice when people are throwing 40, 50%. So in traffic with guys bearing down on you, yes, he's going to need he's going to need some help. And you've seen it. If you're just even a casual fan, you've seen him do his little jump, to catch the ball. He sometimes jumps completely unnecessarily on deep balls. So, yeah, and you can see how that deep ball, that was a beautiful ball. Probably a bad decision by Tua Tagovailoa because the play was covered, but the ball found Waddle, and it just fell at his feet, and there was 50 yards there to gain. So those are plays that we need to have, because you never know when you're going to need something like that. Who knows? Maybe in Kansas City in January. So, yeah, he needs to train on. But that's for the offseason. For now, they're just going to have to involve him more in the offense to give him more opportunities.
Absolutely. Chris and Alf will be back in the second half. We're recording this in 2 separate sections, mainly because of timing and because Chris is at work. But in the second half of the show, they will look at what happens when the Titans and Will Levis and Derrick Henry, who looks like he's going to play, was never in concussion protocol, according to Mike Vrabel, will have the ball when they're on the field. So I won't be here, so I will give you my prediction now, which I believe will be the Miami Dolphins 38 and the Tennessee Titans 16. Stay tuned for the second half of the show, where Chris and Alf will take you home.
Born in Waco, Texas, Balcones Distilling is where centuries-old tradition meets the intentional and innovative craft of whiskey making. Since opening in 2008, they've been committed to creating unique and expressive whiskeys that can only be made in Texas. Their products go beyond your standard sipping whiskey, using 2 yeasts and a longer fermentation and densely packed oak barrels, all intentionally and methodically done to extract more nuanced flavors. It's the Balcones way. Backed by a team who is committed to creating expansive, expressive whiskey with its original stamp every day. Experience the bold, unforgettable taste of Balcones. Discover the exciting flavors of its award-winning lineup of American single malts or the classic Baby Blue Straight corn whiskey, or get your hands on one of its special release bottles released seasonally. Visit balconesdistilling.com, balconesdistilling.com to check out their entire whiskey lineup. Balcones Whiskey, distilled to appreciate. Distilled and bottled by Balcones Distilling, Waco, Texas. Please drink responsibly. Let me tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. We're the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. And now it's time to make Monday night and Thursday night football much more interesting. And with basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that include 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, can you imagine taking LeBron James and Travis Kelce over or under 10.5, 3-point field goals made, and receptions? PrizePicks even offers a reboot policy so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For football and basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. Go to prizepicks.com/3yards, that's the number 3 yards, and use the promo code 3yards for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com/the number 3 yards. Use the promo code 3yards. Deposit $100, you get $100.
Short on time? Drive into any Central Florida area Valvoline Instant Oil Change, where our certified technicians are happy to help get you back to your holiday shopping in no time. Never leave your car and no appointment needed. For money-saving coupons, go to VIOC.com.
Are you a South Florida property owner with an insurance claim? Are you dealing with water, mold, or fire damage to your home or business? Are you having trouble locating a 5-star rated general contractor that is fully licensed, certified, and insured? If the answer is yes, then Water Cleanup of Florida is here for you 24 hours a day. With over 60 years of combined experience, Michael, Robert, Jorge, and their team is prepared to handle any size property damage disaster. When an unexpected damage occurs to your home or business, you need specialized, fast, and reliable services. Water Cleanup of Florida understands the impact and stress an unexpected disaster may cause. Their objective is to make the cleanup and insurance claim process painless and hassle-free. Water Cleanup of Florida is also a licensed general contractor, so they provide the A to Z service, one-stop shopping that busy homeowners and business owners require. Water Cleanup of Florida is now an authorized dealer of Eurocraft cabinets, so premier kitchen, bath, and laundry cabinetry, countertops, and other accessories are available for your viewing at their showroom in Boca Raton. Or, do you prefer to shop from your home or office? Then Water Cleanup will send you one of our design specialists to you with samples and products that fit your style and budget. Call Michael anytime on his personal cell phone if you have any questions at 954-579-0356. That's 954-579-0356. Or visit their website at wcufl.com. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram. And please check out their more than 80 5-star reviews on Google and Facebook. Water Cleanup of Florida. If you have the schmutz, they have the guts.
I'm Jalen Phillips, and you're listening to 3 Yards Per Carry.
Welcome back to 3 Yards Per Carry. A funny thing happened on the way to the second half of the podcast. It's actually about 6 hours later, and Chris has had his COVID jab and has had a pretty adverse reaction to it. So I am sat in the car, which is why the audio might sound slightly different. It is about 10:15 on Friday night. I'm waiting for my 17-year-old son, who's out with his friends, because that's what parents do. Anyway, Alf is still here. I am still here, albeit on my phone. And we are ready to do the second half, which is essentially looking what happens when the Titans have the ball in their game against the Dolphins on Monday Night Football. Chris Fowler and the team on commentary. And Alf, we mentioned it before the break, Derrick Henry will play, according to Mike Vrabel. But the story here for the Titans is really Will Levis. Obviously, the rookie who played very well in his first start and has played okay in patches, but has also struggled mightily at times. And actually, I saw a stat which I don't have in front of me at the moment, but I think he's only ahead of Zach Wilson and one other quarterback in terms of quarterback rating, I think. So, whilst he's got weapons to work with, and we'll get to Henry and Tajay Spears in the running game, and the receivers with Traylon Burks and obviously DeAndre Hopkins, it's been a bit of a struggle for the offense trying to move the ball with Levis at quarterback. And you wonder whether or not this might be a kind of a Ryan Tannehill return game if things don't go very well for Levis.
Yeah, I think that's a distinct possibility. He's had his moments. He's 2-4 as a starter. He started the last 6 games. He only has 2 interceptions, but he's coming off of a game where he had 3 fumbles. And if you watch him on film, like he is daring and is getting away with murder for the most part, he is going to threaten you. Like there's going to be moments where he's going to step back in the pocket and he's going to throw the ball far, like Mike McDaniel said. Mike McDaniel said his evaluation, I don't know if you saw it, Simon, but his evaluation of Will Levis was he throws the ball far and hard.
Yeah, which is not wrong.
It's not wrong. So there's going to be some anxious moments where like, oh my God, what is he seeing? Because he's throwing the ball really far and really hard. It just hasn't been accurate. I don't think he has the horses. DeAndre Hopkins is a spectacular player, but he's not that guy anymore. He needs more schooling. He needs another year, and he needs more talent and possibly some better offensive coaching. And then
some better offensive line play as well.
Yes. So they need plenty before they become anything with Will Levis. The headliners, obviously, Derrick Henry. Dolphins have been playing these light boxes, have been having success. I don't know if you saw the clip that Louis Riddick put up, but there's a play, and I don't know how I didn't see it in the All-22. There's a play where I guess it was a mistake by the Commanders' offensive line, but 3 guys blocked Christian Wilkins. So he was effectively triple teamed, and somehow Christian Wilkins made the tackle for a 1-yard gain on Antonio Gibson. So Dolphins are not going to change who they are. So that's the only danger in this game is if Derrick Henry gets on track and starts to have a big game. Other than that, there just is no danger.
Yeah, we need a high level of performance, don't we, from those interior defensive linemen, because with Derrick Henry, obviously, still poses a threat. He's not the same back he was, but he's still not that far away. Obviously, news came out this week. Pro Football Focus has David Long rated as the #1 run defending linebacker in the league, which I think, whatever you think of Pro Football Focus, and we have our own views, but I certainly think he's played very well against the run. It's a game where Deshaun Elliott, for example, I think will be big heading into the box, attacking downhill, which he does so well. I think that'll be very important for the Dolphins. Tajay Spears is the rookie out of Tulane who's been adding some juice. And actually, although Henry's played first and second downs, this is a guy that they need to get more touches because he is a very valuable piece. He can make people miss. He did so in college, and he's done so pretty well here in the NFL. And, the Dolphins are going to have to keep an eye on Tajay Spears because he could cause some trouble out of the backfield.
Absolutely. And, what's evident right away when you watch him is the speed. And when he could get out on the perimeter, he's a problem. I think that David Long matchup is going to be fascinating to watch because I never, ever have seen a guy talking about – usually when a guy leaves your team, the head coach or the general manager is going to say nice things about him, or they just won't say anything at all. And then you could discern from the silence that there was some friction there. But Mike Vrabel made it a point to talk about shoe injury issues and how they needed to fix that. And I guess the fix was to just let him walk to Miami. He's been healthy. So this is, as far as a revenge game, other than that Bronco game, this is the one that has the most juice for any individual player. I'm pretty certain that David Long will want to leave a mark in this game.
Yeah, last weekend, Alf, the Dolphins teed off quite a bit on Washington, got home a lot with 4, and the Titans give up a ton of pressures. And this is a team that's, one of the top performing teams in terms of quarterback pressures, getting to the quarterback. Bradley Chubb, 6+ sacks. Christian Wilkins, 6+ sacks. Zach Sealer, 6+ sacks. Back-to-back weeks with defensive touchdowns, coming from pressure on the quarterback, certainly last week with Van Ginkel. Getting pressure on the quarterback, and Gink will be huge again, but also expanded roles, I'd imagine, for Emmanuel Ogbah, expanded roles probably for Jason Pierre-Paul moving forwards, just to keep that rotation, knowing that, in a couple of weeks' time, there's a pretty tough stretch of games coming with Dallas, Baltimore, Buffalo, where you really need that defensive line firing. So a good opportunity for these guys to get after a bit and, get in and get some sacks.
Absolutely. And we're going to get to see a guy firsthand, not that that I'm pouring over all 22 tape of the Tennessee Titans, but he has a pretty good reputation. And I remember when he came out of Northwestern, Peter Skoronski, he had the reputation as being one of the better guard prospects in almost a decade. I don't know if you watched them more than I have, but how has it gone for him the last couple of years?
Didn't he come out? Isn't it? Wasn't it last draft that Skoronski came out? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I believe so. Right? It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's been okay. I think he's been kind of up and down. The other guy who has been up and down, but like Skoronski has shown a decent talent level, is Jalen Duncan, who's the kid out of Maryland, who we all thought had the talent, certainly, to be a early day 2 prospect, but some significant off the field issues. I think the Titans, whilst maybe not hitting a home run, have certainly got somebody that they can, rely on for multiple years in terms of, a starting player. He's come in, started, he's played very well. So there is talent on that offensive line, and they are able to open holes for Spears and for Henry. But I just think that Miami has too much talent on defense. But the other guy to keep an eye on, you talk about getting Spears out of the backfield. Also, Chig Okoronkwo, the tight end, is a player that can threaten. He's not going to be an issue when it comes to blocking, but certainly a guy that can threaten seams, that can take a Duke Riley down the field and get up and over him, and can he's got the speed to match up well with the safety. If you get Okoronkwo on Duke Riley, get him on Deshaun Elliott, turning his back and being forced to run back towards his goal line, that could be a difficulty for the Dolphins.
Absolutely. And of course, there's one marquee match. Quarterback Will Levis is going to can forget the battles that DeAndre Hopkins and Xavier Howard had a few years ago, including one game where DeAndre Hopkins actually got much better of Xavier Howard, and then Xavier Howard, of course, got him back when he was in with the Cardinals. So they've had their battles. That's going to be fun to watch again. Maybe Will Levis is not the quarterback to give DeAndre Hopkins an advantage over Xavier Howard. They're talented, but it's still going to be a very uphill battle for this team to compete.
Could this then turn into a Ryan Tannehill revenge game?
Absolutely. I think that there is a distinct possibility, although they might not say it. There might be an opportunity where the game is close and Will Levis is taking them nowhere, and Mike Vrabel might just decide, you know what, we're not too far out of this thing. Let me bring in Ryan Tannehill to take us home for the rest of the year, and we'll just call it a season and call it a successful rookie season for Will Levis. I think that's a distinct possibility.
Could you imagine, though, a scenario where Tannehill brings the Titans back against his old team who are vying for the number 1 seed in the AFC? I mean, that would be an absolute nightmare, wouldn't it?
Absolutely would it be a nightmare. But I think we have the right roster, Simon. I think we have the right roster. Yeah. I don't think Ryan Tannehill scares us. And if he does scare us, then we got more issues.
Yeah, we've got bigger issues. That's very true. My second question before we get to the predictions is, it's a bit of a seesaw of emotions on Sunday evening because it's the Chiefs against the Bills. Obviously, we want the Bills to lose because the AFC East and the Bills. But also we want the Bills to win because of Kansas City getting home field advantage. But then if the Bills win, we don't want the Bills coming to Miami. So many kind of things. How are you feeling about this one? Where's your emotional heart and hat at in terms of, you don't want the Bills in the wild card and you don't want the Bills to come back and win the AFC East, but you don't want the Chiefs to have home field advantage because we want home field advantage, and Buffalo beating Kansas City is great for Miami, given that we play Tennessee and we could go 2 games ahead. It's a big old. What are you feeling?
Yeah, it's a mixed emotions. It's like your worst enemy off a cliff, but he's holding like one of your prized possessions. So this game it's interesting because I've seen some other people say, no, I want to see the corpse. I want to see the corpse, and I want to see it inside the box, ready to be buried. Well, if you want that, then you're obviously rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know if you saw the injury report, but it's a bad one for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Now, the good thing is they're in Arrowhead. They don't lose too much in Arrowhead. So, you got to think they have an advantage here. But, wow, no Pacheco, no Brian Cook, no Drew Tranquill. Like, these are big losses. I think
the Bills are winning that game.
I think so, too. And if they do, that's actually the better thing.
It is the better thing.
And if you do want to clinch against the Jets, then it's in the Cowboys' hands. And can the Dallas Cowboys go to Buffalo and beat the Buffalo Bills? Absolutely. So if you want an early coordination, you can still get it.
If we're worried about a Buffalo team that's 3 games behind us, knowing that we've got 3 different games coming up against Dallas, Baltimore, and Buffalo, then we have no right even thinking that we should be in the playoffs. Do you know what I mean? We've got to be at some point we've got to stop beating up on the, you can only beat what's in front of you, but at some point you've got to go and beat a really good team, whether that's in the regular season or in the playoffs. You're going to have to beat somebody who's really good. And if we're sitting there going, oh, well, maybe they're 2 games behind us and they're 1 game behind us and, all our easy games are running out. Well, you've got to go and beat one of those 3 teams, or at least 2 of those 3 teams to get in and stop the narrative, I suppose. Right. Let's get to the predictions. I think I gave mine before the break, although it was about 6.5 hours ago. And I think I said 38-14 maybe, or something like that. Where's your head at in terms of predictions?
Well, first, Chris said 31-10, and I'm pretty much in the same headspace. I'm thinking 34-13.
Okay.
With not many anxious moments, I would say.
Good. I can't handle many anxious moments. Right. I'm off to pick my son up. It is now close on 10:30, and he'll have probably had a couple of lagers too many. So that should be fun for the journey home. We will see you on Monday night for our review show. Oh, no, we won't. We'll see you on Tuesday night because it's a Monday night game for our review show.
That'd be something that we're reviewing the game while it's going on, Yeah,
absolutely. You can join us on the game on OnlyFins, and you go to 3 Yards Per Carry, our Twitter account, and that's where you'll find all the details to sign up for OnlyFins. We will join you next Tuesday and then next Thursday to preview the Jets. You have been listening, as always, to 3 Yards Per Carry.
Thanks for listening to 3 Yards Per Carry. You can subscribe via iTunes, on Podbean, or your usual podcast provider.
Looking for a fun way to win 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/play100 and use code play100. That's code play100 at prizepicks.com/play100 for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Introducing Carvana Value Tracker, where you can track your car's value over time and learn what's driving it. It might make you excited.
Whoa, didn't know my car was valued this high.
It might make you nervous.
Uh-oh, market's flooded. My car's value just dipped 2.3%.
It might make you optimistic.
Our low mileage is paying off. Our value's up.
And it might make you realistic.
Car prices haven't gone up in a couple weeks. Maybe it's time to sell.
But it will definitely make you an expert on your car's value. Carvana Value Tracker. Visit Carvana.com to start tracking your car's value today.